The cold wind blew across the alien city of Talrun. Dust floated through the streets, and the sky above was a pale orange. Beneath the rusted towers and glowing signs, an alien woman sat on the ground, holding her small child close. Her name was Soraya. Her skin was pale blue, and small glowing dots shimmered under her eyes. Her clothes were worn and thin. Her daughter Luma, no older than 4 cycles, shivered in her arms. Soraya had been walking all day door to door, market to market, begging for work. She didn't ask for much, just a cleaning job. Or to carry things, anything, but everywhere. She went, the answer was the same. You, a single mother? We don't need your kind here. She was tired of hearing it. Aliens from stronger species always looked down on her kind. And being a mother without a mate, that was even worse. Some laughed at her, some turned their backs. A few just walked away like she wasn't even there. Now, she sat on the corner of a side street. Her feet were bleeding, her eyes were red. Luma hadn't eaten all day. Soraya tried to sing softly to her, but her voice broke halfway through the lullaby. She had nothing left. Then, footsteps. Heavy boots crunched on the sand-covered street. Soraya looked up, expecting another angry shopkeeper or a guard telling her to move. But what she saw made her heart skip a beat. It was a human, tall, broad shoulders, a long coat. His face was rough, with a scar running down one cheek. His eyes were sharp but not cruel. He held a metal toolbox in one hand and a bag of supplies in the other. He paused when he saw her, looked down at her and the child in her lap. Soraya quickly turned her head away. She had heard of humans, dangerous, cold, proud. She braced herself for harsh words, but instead, the man spoke softly. "You all right?" Soraya blinked. Did she hear him right? She didn't answer. Just held Luma tighter. The man looked around. "It's cold. You shouldn't be out here with a kid." Still, she said nothing. What did he want? "I'm not here to hurt you," he added. "Just saw you there. That's all." Soraya looked up slowly. Her voice cracked. We have nowhere to go." He nodded once, then said, "Come with me." She froze. "Why? What do you want?" "Nothing," he said simply. "I've got a place. It's not big, but warm. Got food. You can rest, just for tonight." Soraya hesitated. She didn't trust anyone, especially not strange males. She had been tricked before, hurt before. He saw the fear in her eyes. "You don't have to come if you don't want," he said. "Just figured. No one should sleep in the street like this, not with a kid." There was a long pause. Then Luma whimpered in her arms, and Soraya felt her tiny body shivering. Soraya stood up slowly. Her legs trembled. She didn't have many choices. "Okay," she whispered. The man nodded. He didn't smile or say anything else. He just turned and walked. Soraya followed, carrying her daughter. The walk was quiet. The streets got darker. They moved away from the busy market into the edge of the city, near the scrapyards. The buildings here were old, made of metal and broken ship parts. Soraya clutched Luma tighter. Finally, the man stopped in front of a metal door. He placed his hand on a scanner. It beeped, and the door slid open. Inside, it was small but clean. Warm air rushed out. Tools, wires, and glowing machines were scattered everywhere. There was a table with food packets, a small sleeping pod, a heater. "You can sit there," he said, pointing to a chair. Soraya stepped in slowly. The warmth hit her like a blanket. She sat down, wrapping her arms around Luma. The man placed a food packet in front of her. "It's not fancy, but it'll fill you up." She stared at it. "Eat," he said. "Thank you." She said quietly, "What is your name?" "Jack," he said, taking off his coat and hanging it on a hook. "Yours?" "Soraya," she replied. "My daughter is Luma." "Jack. Nice to meet you." Soraya opened the food packet with shaking hands. Luma began to eat with tiny bites. For the first time in weeks, Soraya felt safe. She looked around. Strange machines buzzed softly. The air smelled like oil and spice, but it was warm. And quiet. Why did you help us? She finally asked Doc. Jack didn't answer right away. He was looking at a photo on the wall, a picture of him with a group of soldiers, all humans. All gone now, he turned back to her. Because once, someone helped me when I had nothing to. Soraya didn't know what to say. She just held her daughter close, but deep inside, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Soraya woke up to silence. For a moment, she forgot where she was. There was no shouting, no cold wind, no angry footsteps chasing her away. Just warmth, and the soft sound of a machine humming. She opened her eyes and saw her daughter Luma sleeping beside her on a small mattress, covered with a thick gray blanket. The room smelled like old metal and spice oil, but to Soraya, it felt like heaven. Then she heard the clanking of tools. Doc. Jack, the human who took her in, was already working at his repair table. Sparks flew as he fixed something with glowing wires. He wore a black shirt and dusty pants. His back was broad, his movements careful and fast. Soraya sat up slowly. Her muscles ached, but for the first time in weeks, her stomach wasn't empty. Jack didn't look at her. He just spoke while working. There's food on the table. You and the kid eat first. Soraya blinked. We. We should leave soon. You've helped enough. Now he looked at her. His expression was calm but firm. I didn't ask you to leave. She paused. But you don't even know us. Why are you doing this? Jack didn't answer right away. He picked up another tool, connected a battery, and sparks lit the room again. You need a place. I have space. That's enough for now. Soraya didn't know what to say. This wasn't how aliens acted, not toward her. Not toward anyone like her. She stepped toward the table and sat beside Luma. The food was simple, a protein paste, and dried fruit but warm. Luma woke up with a smile for the first time in days. Doc turned off the tools and walked over. I run a small salvage shop, fix old tech. Sometimes I sell it to traders, sometimes to farmers, he said. I could use an extra pair of hands. Soraya looked up, surprised. You want me to work for you? Jack shrugged. If you want to earn some credits and stay longer, yes. But I don't know machines, she admitted. Then you'll learn, he replied. Start with small stuff. Cleaning parts. Organizing tools. Watching Luma if I'm out. She hesitated again. It sounded too good. Most people only see what I am, she said quietly. A poor single mother. A weak alien. They think I'm trash. Jack met her eyes. I'm not. Most people. His voice wasn't kind or soft, but it was honest. Real. Soraya nodded slowly. Okay, I'll try. He gave a single nod in return. Good, you start today. That afternoon, Jack showed her the workroom. Wires, broken drones, strange devices from old Warzall stacked in boxes. He handed her gloves and a cloth. Start with these. Clean them, sort by color, and type. Soraya obeyed. Her hands moved slowly at first, but she kept going. Luma played nearby with old metal pieces, giggling softly. Hours passed. The work was hard, but it felt different. No one shouted. No one called her names. No one told her she was useless. Later, Jack returned with new clothes, simple pants, and a clean shirt. These are yours, he said. Soraya took them gently. Thank you. He nodded again and returned to his tools. That night, after Luma fell asleep, Soraya walked around the small home. She passed a locked door with strange markings. It looked older than everything else. She reached out to touch the door. Suddenly, she heard a low buzz from inside, like something alive, moving. Her heart jumped. What was behind there? She stepped back, unsure. The sound stopped. She turned and froze. Jack was standing in the hallway behind her, watching silently. "That room is off limits," he said. His voice wasn't angry, but firm, like steel wrapped in quiet. Soraya quickly lowered her eyes. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." "It's okay," he interrupted. "Just don't go near it again." She nodded quickly. Then Jack walked past her and entered his room, closing the door behind him. Soraya stood in the dark, staring at the locked door. What was inside? Why was it hidden? And why did this human, so kind and cold at the same time, live like a man with secrets? She returned to her sleeping daughter and laid down. But that night, her eyes stayed open for a long time. Something about this place, this human, felt safe. But also dangerous. She wasn't sure if it was luck that brought her here, or something else. Soraya thought she heard whispers, not voices, not words, but a sound soft and cold, like wind blowing through glass. She sat up from the small bed in the corner of the workshop. The lights were dim. Luma was still asleep, curled beside her, with a soft cloth over her shoulders, but Soraya was wide awake. Her eyes locked onto that door. The locked one. It was glowing faintly. She hadn't touched it. She hadn't even gone near it since Jack warned her. But something was different tonight. The metal around the door shimmered. Thin steam curled out from the edges, like the room behind it was breathing. Soraya stood up slowly. She stepped closer, one careful foot at a time. The air around the door was cold, and the strange symbols on it seemed to shift like shadows. She placed her hand just inches from the surface, and the door clicked. Her breath caught. It didn't open, but it unlocked. Then she heard something move inside. Not a machine, not a weapon. It sounded like a voice calling her name. Hours earlier, the day had been quiet. Jack had taken her to the scrapyard behind the house. They worked side by side, lifting old parts, scanning broken drones, and sorting valuable circuits. Jack didn't talk much, but he watched her closely. He noticed when she fixed a wire correctly. He noticed when she kept Luma away from sharp tools. He nodded in approval, but never said good job. Still, Soraya felt a respect, and that made her want to work harder. That night, after dinner, Jack had spoken to her directly. "I'm going out tomorrow," he said, "to the edge of the old war zone. I need to collect something." "Dangerous?" she asked. "Could be," he replied. "You'll stay here. Lock the doors. Don't open them for anyone." She nodded, but part of her wanted to ask, "What are you really doing out there?" He didn't tell her, and now, here she was, standing in front of the room he never let her near. The door was unlocked. Soraya reached for the handle, but then Luma stirred behind her. "Mama," the little girl whispered sleepily. Soraya froze. Her hand dropped. She turned back. "It's okay, baby. Go back to sleep." The light on the door faded. The glow disappeared, and the clicking sound reversed itself, locked again. The next morning, Jack was already gone. He left a note on the table. "Back by nightfall. Keep the workshop locked. Do not touch the back door." Soraya stared at it for a long time. Why did that room open for her? Why had it whispered her name? All day she tried to stay busy cleaning tools, checking wires, teaching Luma how to sort screws by color, but her eyes kept glancing at that door, and something inside her whispered, "Back." Not words, just one feeling: curiosity and danger, asterisk. The code door didn't whisper tonight. It screamed, not with sound, but with light. Blue light burst through the cracks around the locked room. It lit up the workshop like lightning. The machines on the shelves buzzed. Tools vibrated. Luma cried in her sleep. Soraya held her child close, heart pounding in her chest. Jack was still not back. She stared at the door, shaking. Something was happening behind it, something alive. And then, as suddenly as it started, The light vanished. Silence returned. No hum, no heat. Just cold, dead air. Minutes later, the front door slammed open. Jack stumbled in, his coat torn, his hands bloody, and one of his eyes swollen. Soraya rushed to him. What happened? He dropped the heavy bag on the floor with a thud. They followed me. Who followed you? Jack didn't answer right away. He fell into the chair, breathing hard. I didn't think they still tracked old soldiers, he said through clenched teeth. But they did. He looked up at her. Did you open that room? Soraya shook her head quickly. No, I didn't, but something opened by itself. It was glowing. It was alive. Jack didn't look surprised. Instead, he leaned forward and said in a low voice, that room holds tech that's not supposed to exist anymore. Soraya stared at him. What is it? He stood up, limping slightly, and grabbed a drink from a metal shelf. His hands shook as he poured. During the war, he said, my squad found a piece of alien tech buried under a crashed ship. Number. One could understand it. It was alive, thinking, reacting. My people wanted to destroy it, but you didn't. No, Jack said. I took it and ran. I couldn't let it be used. Or destroyed. He turned toward her. And now you've seen its light. That means it's reacting to you. Me? Soraya stepped back. Why me? Jack pointed at the marks on the door. That writing? It's not human. Not yours either. It's old. Older than both our races. It responds only to certain minds, certain hearts. Soraya felt cold inside. But I'm nobody. I'm just a mother. Jack looked at her, this time not with suspicion, but something deeper. You're more than that. He limped to a cabinet and pulled out a metal case. Opened it. Inside were tools, devices, a small glowing cube. You want to stay here? You want to protect your daughter? Jack asked. Soraya nodded. Then I need more than a housekeeper, he said. I need a partner. She stared at him. Partner? Jack nodded. You help me repair, learn tech, handle trade. Guard this place when I'm gone. I'll teach you everything I know. Why me? She asked again. Because no one ever gave you a chance. And because you didn't run when you saw the door scream. Soraya felt her chest tighten. This wasn't pity. This was trust. She stepped forward and placed her hand on the metal table between them. I'll do it, she said. But only if Luma stays safe. Jack's eyes met hers. Then we have a deal. He placed the glowing cube in her hand. It pulsed. Just once. As if accepting her to. The alarm screamed just before dawn. Not a loud siren, but a deep, pulsing hum, like a heartbeat made of metal. Soraya jumped up from the floor, eyes wide. She had been working all night, repairing drone parts, while Luma slept beside her. Jack was still out, checking supply lines. He had left hours ago and hadn't returned. Now, the humming grew louder, red lights flashed. Something had triggered the outer sensors. Something big. She rushed to the screen on the wall. A grainy image flickered to life. A tall, masked figure in black armor stood at the front gate, holding a weapon that looked too advanced for local thugs. Soraya's blood ran cold. Who was he? And how did he find them? She locked the main door, covered Luma in a blanket, and ran to the tool rack. Her hands shook as she grabbed the only defense Jack left behind. A pulse driver, small, old, but still dangerous at close range. She had never fired it before, but she had watched Jack. She had listened. She had learned. The intruder stepped closer. To the house. Then a voice spoke through the comms system. We know what the human is hiding. Give it to us, or we take everything. Soraya's heart pounded. They weren't after money. They were after the locked room. The ancient tech. And maybe her. She looked at Luma one last time. Then she took a deep breath and stepped into the center of the workshop. Her voice rang out through the speaker system. There is nothing here for you. Leave. The reply was sharp. Wrong answer. The gate blew open. The invader stepped through smoke, walking fast, scanning with glowing red eyes. He moved like a soldier, but faster, colder. Soraya aimed the pulse driver with both hands. Her arms shook, but her feet stayed firm. She waited. Waited, just like Jack had taught her. Then when the invader turned toward the back room, she pulled the trigger. Bang! Blue light flashed. The pulse hit him in the side, knocking him into the wall. He grunted, but didn't fall. Instead, he turned slowly toward her. Now he was angry. He rushed forward. Soraya ran. She dove behind the metal table, grabbed a glowing wire coil, and hurled it toward the floor. Sparks exploded, filling the room with smoke. The invader stumbled. Blind, she didn't stop. She pressed a button near the wall. Hidden panels dropped down, locking the back room's door tighter than steel. "You're not getting in," she whispered. The invader growled, swinging wildly, crashing into shelves. Soraya jumped from cover, firing again, this time hitting him in the leg. The armor cracked. He stumbled again. Then another sound filled the room, a loud, clean voice from the main door. "Step away from her." Jack. He stood in the doorway, holding something new, a weapon Soraya had never seen before. Long, silver, humming with light. The invader turned to face him, but Jack didn't wait. He fired once. The blast sent the masked attacker flying through the air, crashing into the wall and falling unconscious. Silence returned. Soraya collapsed to her knees, shaking, still holding the pulse driver. Jack walked toward her and knelt down. "You all right?" She nodded, barely breathing. "I protected it. I protected the room." Jack looked around at the mess, then at her burned gloves and sweaty face. He gave her a rare, quiet smile. "You protected more than that." He looked toward the locked door. "You protected something that even soldiers were afraid to touch." Soraya looked at him, eyes wide. "I just didn't want to lose this place, or you, or my daughter." Jack stood and offered her a hand. "You won't." And for the first time, she believed it. 3 days after the attack, everything changed again, but this time, it wasn't with weapons or smoke. It came in the form of a knock on the door. Not loud. Not violent. Just polite. Too polite. Soraya froze mid-task. She was repairing a damaged energy coil while Luma played quietly nearby. Jack was out front fixing an old loader unit. But the knock, it felt wrong. She pressed the wall screen and looked at the camera feed. 2 aliens stood outside, well-dressed, polished skin, fancy robes, and behind them her former employer, the one who had thrown her out, the one who once said, "You're too broken. No one will hire a mother like you." Now he was back and smiling. Jack stood beside her, staring at the screen. "They followed your scent," he muttered. "Like rats when they smell gold." Soraya turned to him. "What do we do?" He didn't answer. He walked to the door and opened it. The man in front, an oily alien with wide teeth and silver cuffs, stepped forward confidently. "Human," he said. "We are here for the girl." Jack crossed his arms. "Which one?" The alien chuckled. "The mother, Soraya. She is part of a legal contract signed long ago. She broke that contract. She owes us 10 cycles of service. We have the record." Jack didn't blink. "She works for me now." "She is still property," the alien snapped. "You are interfering." Behind him, Soraya's former employer laughed. "She's not worth much," he sneered. "But she's mine by law." Jack stepped forward, his voice like stone. "No one owns her." Soraya stepped out of the workshop, her hands trembling, but her spine straight. She faced the men who once called her trash, who laughed when she begged for food. "I left your house because I was dying," she said. "You didn't give me work, you gave me chains." "Chains you agreed to," the silver-cuffed alien said coldly. "She's under my protection now," Jack cut in. "Take one more step and you'll be trespassing. You'll regret this, human." The alien hissed. "This will go to court. We'll drag her name through the stars. You'll lose everything." Jack didn't even blink. "Then I'll fight it." That night, they sat in silence. Soraya held Luma in her arms, rocking slowly. Her eyes were tired, but not afraid anymore. Jack sat across from her, sharpening a tool that looked too much like a blade. "They'll come back," she whispered. "I know. With guards, with rules, with lies, I'll be ready." Soraya looked up at him. "Why are you doing this?" Jack paused. "Because when I needed someone, no one came for me," he said. "I survived alone. That changes with you." Tears slid down her cheek, but she wiped it quickly. Jack stood and pulled out a small box. "Open it," he said. Inside was a thin badge made of old metal, the symbol of the Old Earth Alliance. "Wear it in court," Jack said. "It'll tell them who's standing behind you." And suddenly, Soraya didn't feel like a slave or a servant anymore. She felt like someone who mattered. They laughed when she walked into the hall. All those rich aliens in their shining clothes. All those cold judges with golden emblems on their shoulders. And her Soraya, once called worthless single mother, now standing tall in second-hand boots and wearing a faded, human badge over her chest. But what made the room fall silent wasn't her clothes. It was the man walking beside her. Jack. Human, former soldier, covered in scars, but standing like a wall no one could knock down. He didn't look at the crowd. He looked only forward. And beside him, Soraya didn't flinch. The courtroom was shaped like a circle, bright and echoing. The alien who once claimed to own Soraya stood in the center, full of fake smiles. "She belongs to me," he shouted. "She signed a service contract. She left before 10 cycles were complete. She is stolen property." Soraya stepped forward. Her voice didn't shake. "I left because I was starving. My child was sick. You gave us nothing." The judge raised one brow. "Do you have proof?" Jack stood up. He pulled a small chip from his pocket and placed it on the platform. A hologram flickered on a video from months ago, recorded by Jack's drones. Soraya lying outside in the rain, Luma crying, the shopkeepers turning them away, her former employer laughing as he shut a door in her face. Gasps filled the room. Soraya watched the hologram in silence. She didn't cry. Not this time. The judge turned to Jack. "Why did you take her in?" Jack answered plainly, "Because no one else did. Because she's not weak, she was just never given a real chance. She works with me now. She fixes high-tech equipment better than half my old unit. And I don't say that lightly." Another hologram appeared, images of Soraya fixing drones, building parts, defending the workshop. Her hands were steady, her eyes focused. The courtroom was silent. No more laughter now. After 2 long hours, the judge stood. According to Old Earth Alliance law, any person given refuge by a registered Alliance veteran has the right to declare independent freedom if the veteran stands as their legal protector. He looked at Jack. Jack gave a single nod. "I do." The judge turned to Soraya. "You are now free." The moment the words left his mouth, Soraya's knees nearly buckled. But Jack placed a steady hand on her back. She stood tall again, outside the court. Reporters ran toward her. Microphones, lights, questions. "How does it feel to be free? Will you stay with the human? Are you going to sue your old master?" Soraya looked at them all and simply said, "I'm going to build something better with the man who believed in me when no one else would." Jack smiled slightly. Beside her, weeks later, the old workshop became something new. Soraya and Jack worked side by side. Luma had her own corner with toys, now smiling more than crying. The locked room? Still locked. But now it pulsed quietly, like it was waiting for the right time. And when Soraya walked by, it glowed softly like it remembered her. Some said she was just lucky. Some whispered it was just a human's guilt. But Soraya knew the truth. She had no power, no status, and no voice. Until one human saw her worth and gave her the one thing no alien had ever offered her before, a chance.